Is it working now? We'll start that again. Thank you so much, Manuel and Bernice. That was a really beautiful way to start the morning here on the Lanai at New Thought. And so, welcome everybody who's here in person. And of course, there are people who are joining us via Zoom. Welcome to all of you as well. We're glad we don't have the COVID restrictions like we did before. But if you want to wear a mask or if you feel more comfortable sitting in a chair that's distanced, we set some up in the very back there for you as well. Right. So I had contacted Momi. There you are. Okay. And you came just in time. So I contacted Momi last night about reading from the Science of Mind magazine. So here's the page if you would like to come and read this. And you can use this microphone. Yeah. Yeah. So what you do is you start from here and you read all of that. You don't necessarily have to put their names, but some people do. No, no, no. You came just in time. You're perfect. So and then you read all of this and then this. Yeah. So you read it once and then slowly read it so we can, repeat it after you. So please.
Good morning.
Oh, is this on?
Good morning.
Okay, he's going to
Good
control
morning.
it.
Aloha kakahiaka.
Oh, nice.
So today's reading for April 24th is Uninhibited Healing. From Nona L. Brooks. Healing is the turning from the belief in disease to the realization of God's presence and perfect activity. And from Ernest Holmes, it seems that in all forms of healing, all that can be done is to let an inner light flow to restore us to our original pattern of perfection. All that any human ingenuity can do is to help us to that pattern, a pattern we did not make. Japanese researchers made a remarkable discovery which biologists have dubbed a wonder of nature. One day, researcher Sayaka Mito observed a Japanese sea slug duplicate itself. Instead of dying, as she expected it would, the slug kept on living and began regenerating its body. After they saw two other slugs do the same, the researchers began a study. While it was widely known that certain animals could regrow appendages, they had never seen one regrow almost its whole body. In fact, scientists did not think that an animal as large as a sea slug, that could be up to 6 inches long, could survive without a heart to pump blood and food to the brain. The sea slugs proved them wrong. Once losing their heads, thanks to a particular type of algae they feed on, the slugs photosynthesized their food from sunlight and oxygen for about 10 days while their bodies regenerated. The slugs never understood that they were not supposed to be able to grow back their bodies. They just instinctively used what was available to them to heal their bodies. Our own bodies have the healing power of spirit within us, always ready to bring our physical bodies back into enlightenment with our innate wholeness. Scientists believe there is something we can learn from these sea slugs, and I agree. Wow. I think that's sometimes we need to get out of our own way and let ourselves heal because we know what to do if we don't think about it. And the affirmation is I know that wholeness is my natural state, and I allow my inner wholeness, the truth of who I am, to be expressed in my physical body. Now I'm going to chunk it up so that you can. I know that wholeness is my natural state.
I know that wholeness is my natural state.
And I allow my inner wholeness,
And I allow my inner wholeness,
the truth of who I am,
the truth of who I am,
to be exposed in my physical body.
to be exposed in my physical body.
And so it is.
And so it is. Mahalo. Mahalo. So, following the reading, we're going to have a silent meditation based on what was just read. I'll just read that again to um, get us into the meditative space. I know that wholeness is my natural state, and I allow my inner wholeness, the truth of who I am, to be expressed in my physical body. So if you would sit with your spine straight and be connected to the Earth Mother through your feet and through the cosmos, to the cosmos through the top of your head. Just begin to breathe slowly and just enter into the space of connecting with Source, with the divine, that silent space. And now returning to this room, this space, we will proceed with the service. And what will come next is music by Manuel Roberto and Bernice Roberto. Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate that. Yeah, it's just beautiful. So ethereal, and It's just sort of like an extension of the meditation, right? You're just staying right in that space. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. I have to keep track of what I'm doing here. Okay. So we're all here at New Thought Center of Hawaii in Kona and being joined by members and friends via Zoom from other places around the world. New Thought Center of Hawaii is a multi faith spiritual community. Our mission is to provide a sanctuary of aloha for the nourishment, development, and evolution of each individual's unique spiritual path. Our history, this group evolved from the Religious Science Church of Hawaii, founded in 1971. So we just celebrated our 50th anniversary last year, and we're extending it into this year. We just, want to party the whole time and celebrate the whole time. We have held Sunday services continuously from that time, 1971, previously in Keoho, and since 1999 in Kealakekua. Thanks, quote unquote, to the pandemic of 2020 and 2021, we have developed the technical capabilities to hold our services online when necessary. So some of us are really having to learn new technology. It's great to be to, to learn. And our connection to the wider world. We are affiliated with International New Thought Alliance, which is an umbrella organization that brings together groups and individuals who share certain common beliefs and attitudes. Among them, the idea that, quote, a new thought embodied in consciousness produces a new condition, unquote. And that's from Judge Thomas Troward. The International New Thought Alliance also includes many unity and religious science churches, many of which are now called Centers for Spiritual Living. And you can get information about the website from our newsletter. Otherwise, you can visit www.newthoughtcenterofhawaii.com. Okay, so kind of backwards this is. I want to introduce you anyways. So I'll just say by name Manuel Roberto and then Bernice Roberto, who's doing the music with him. And he is our presenter today. And one of the things that he or any speaker does is to pose a question. And then we get the microphone and send it around the room. You say your name and just give a very brief response to the question. Do you want to say the question?
Yeah, the question is very simple. Uh, when do you come to New Thought, and how or why do you come here? Did someone bring you here? How did you get introduced to New Thought?
Yeah, I'm sure everybody can hear him. He's
Yeah, very simple. Just
Yeah.
A few words.
So should I pass this one around or? Oh, the handheld. Okay. Yeah. So Pasha will turn it on and then you can just.
Okay, it says it's on the light screen.
Okay, now
Oh,
it's
that.
on. Okay.
Yeah.
So why did you come to New Thought?
When?
When? You mean like the
And who
very
brought you
first,
here?
the
Why?
very first time,
Uh-huh.
like how you originally
First time. How did you
discovered
get here?
New Thought? Okay.
And maybe who brought you, or if that's
Okay.
relevant.
How did you discover this place?
Well, actually, I do remember. Since I'm holding it, I'll go first.
Okay.
It was in 1977, and my husband and I had just sort of loosened our ties to a guru that we had been associated with, but we didn't want to reject everything. We couldn't really just go back to being old-fashioned Protestants after 7 or 8 years of, intense study with this guru. So I heard a rumor. We were living on Hamburger Hill at the time, and I heard a rumor that there was a church that offered meditations, and that was part of the way they operated. So I thought, well, that sounds good. I'd like to learn about that. And it just happened that they were having a midweek meeting in someone's home in my neighborhood, so I could walk there. And because I think Rob was working about 3 jobs at the time, so he had our car at work, but I could walk to this home, and that was my first connection with it. It was still called religious science then, and they were having a movie night at this house. It was a very thoughtful, well, it was, the movie itself was interesting, but the discussion afterwards was what really intrigued me, because the people were so wonderful and thoughtful and spiritually evolved. So then I started attending the services, which they at that time had double services. They had services in Keho, and they also had services at the King Kamehameha Hotel, or the grassy area outside of it. So that was my first connection. Sorry, it was a little long.
Oh, hi, I'm Patty, and I came to New Thought because I like to gather with like-minded people.
Hi, my name is Lorraine, and I just remembered my first time. My son was skateboarding with a friend when he had a traumatic head injury, and I was in such distress. And so I looked for a spiritual community. And I remember I was with my friend Robin, and we went to Keho, where the gardens used to be and everything. And I loved the way that they prayed affirmatively. And it's ironic because his poor mother was told he's not going to live, this, that, the other thing. Well, Cody graduated from Berkeley with a degree in psychology and is trying to get his certificate right now for occupational therapy. And his mother's a guest in my home. So I'm like, just today. So I'm just thinking, oh, yeah, that's right. Because sometimes when life doesn't have answers, your community can be there to affirm.
I'm Terry, and this is pretty prosaic, but I saw the listing in the newspaper under the church directory, and it was close by, and I thought I'll try it out.
I'm Martha. The first time we came was in 1986 when we were here visiting Carla Hannaford, who then changed her name to a Sufi name of Jamila Noor. And she was a close friend, and we were coming after that rather regularly. So we would always come to New Thought with her, and we always appreciated it. So now she's off island, but we're here for another 5 days, and then we go back for snowbirding in Colorado.
I'm Lloyd. Same story as Martha, obviously. And I think part of it, too, is that it's just nice to have a different message. Being a recovering Catholic, I feel like this is a this is a message that resonates more so with me.
I'm Shana. We moved here 11 years ago, and Stephen was desperately looking for this type of church. Looked and looked and looked, newspaper, internet, he couldn't find anything. And finally, he found out that it was less than a mile from our house. So it was meant to be.
Oh, come on, Mommy.
We'll backtrack here. Well, Shane already blew my cover, my story. I'd just like to say that, yeah, it was amazing. Like of all the spots we picked on the island to buy a home after looking at all the different areas. And getting here, I was pretty amazed that this was right next door. And also, all the best volleyball courts turned out to be really close to my house, too.
Hi, I'm Momi. I also am a recovering Catholic, and I missed community and fellowship. And I was a mother of young children, and I wanted to both help imbibe them with a sense of spirituality and a faith group. And I also desperately wanted a break and have some free childcare. And I went around, I had many friends who were like, oh, well, you should come try our faith center. And I would go. And I'm a closet pagan. I'm an active practicing witch. And I just felt like an imposter going to Bible First Church and, sitting there and just like I love praising the Lord. I love praising the goddess. I love ceremony and dancing and singing in praise of the divine. It brings me joy. But I have a very broad, open mind of there are many paths to the same source. And I'm not going to diminish anybody else's journey because of how they choose to name or embody or walk their path. But I know not everyone is the same. And after going through months of trying to find a place where I didn't feel like an imposter, or that if we were 300 years ago, they would be burning me at a stake, I found my way here, and I walked through the door, and I saw the woman who married my husband and I, and she was leading this meditation on world peace. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found my people. And they had free childcare.
I'm Jeff, and Terry brought me here, and largely to volunteer to do the sound, but I've found it's really wonderfully insightful and a lot of just incredible wisdom that comes through here, and I'm grateful to be here.
I would like to thank you, Jeff, for doing the sound this morning, because I know how much work really this takes. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I'm Heather, and I was getting a massage next door when I saw your sign about 6 years ago. And I pop in from time to time, particularly when you have the Hawaiian teachers, Keala Ching and so forth. And I love learning so much from all of the amazing speakers that you bring in. And I love open-mindedness and freedom in spirituality and celebrating all the different faiths and learning different ways of thinking and feeling and exploring this universe in our amazing, physical and spiritual bodies. So I'm so grateful to have found my home with all of you as well. Thank you.
Freedom, freedom,
freedom, freedom. When we were members of the Master Subramania's body of going for enlightenment people, it was a transformative experience for us. Those 7 years, 7-year cycle. And when we left the Guru, I talk very slowly because I have had 2 strokes. You have to slow your mind down. I just apologize for it. And when we left the body of Master Subramania, he said, "Take the best and leave the rest." I thought that was kind of fair of him. He said the most wonderful thing that spiritual people can do is to establish a church. And instead of establishing a church, we have supported New Thought and made sure it survives. Because this era is important for our little light, our bright light to survive. You know what I mean. This shirt is sunflowers. For my brothers and sisters and children and grandfathers in Ukraine. And this is a balance. We didn't establish a new church, but we made sure it survives. And I thank you for being here. And I'm through.
Hi, my name is Bernice, and my spiritual name is Brihan Nardia Purana Devi Dasi. And I came to New Thought 22 years ago. 22 years ago. We came to the island and we found it immediately. And but we left a community that was very dear to our hearts at the Palace of Gold in West Virginia. And that's where we had raised our children. And the women there had a big party for me. And there were a couple Russian girls who were part of the group. And their tradition is they throw you up in the air for each year that you're celebrating something. So I was 14 years in this community, and they threw me up in the air 14 times. I just couldn't believe it. It was amazing. So we came here to Big Island because Mahesh had a new job. He's a financial advisor. And so we had to transfer into a place that we were unaware of what would be here. But we had the Lord, Krishna in our hearts. And we came here to New Thought and we thought, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. You know, there's everything here. There's open hearts, open people, and open to all kinds of music. And so we were just so grateful to arrive here, and to many people in this audience we've known for so long. My dear friend Pasha, my dear friend Lorraine, my dear friend Patty Patty, the lay minister, who makes these every week. And it's just a beautiful gathering of wonderful people. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. My name is Manuel, and my spiritual name is Mahesh. And we came about 22 years ago because I was looking for other musicians to play with, and I met Morty Breyer right away, like practically within the first week I was here in this island. And then Morty said, "Well, you should come to our center, the New Thought Center of Hawaii." I said, "Yeah, sure." So we connected right away. And lo and behold, I didn't know that I was just walking into the golden age of New Thought, and we'll talk about this in a minute. Really was really unbelievable for those from 2000 all the way, because this center was just started in 1999 right here in this lanai, and there were some pretty amazing teachers, which we'll talk about later. And it was vibrant. It was a very vibrant community. But of course, the Lord is arranging for different transitions and changes. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes. I won't take much of your time because we wanted to get to that music that Bernice has composed called Love is the Answer, which is, that's what it is. Love is the answer. So we'll get to that in 1 minute.
Hi, my name is Ramona. I'm a really young member of New Thought Hawaii, and I am so grateful that I have been able to get involved right with the core of the people here and doing service. I came to New Thought through CSL, Center for Spiritual Living, up in Seattle, where I reside most of the time. And I've been a student and practitioner of Tibetan Buddhism for about 40 years now. And I feel that what is so great about New Thought Hawaii is that I can bring everything that I have studied and followed and learned so far to this place, that I don't have to let go of any of it. And I can just practice and keep on learning and keep on growing, especially with a lot of people around who support this kind of spiritual work. Mahalo. So now we're going to have a song, music with Manuel and Bernice. Yes, love is the answer. Sure thing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. So there's a part of service called Miracles and Ordinaries that we really, really enjoy. And yes, yeah. So, so we're asked to share with each other the spiritually meaningful events of this past week, this time of our lives, this portion of our journey. Miracles because they're unexpected. They seem to come from source, both within and without, and they remind us of the great spiritual truths, and they change us. Ordinaries because they happen in the midst of our daily lives. They are the stuff of our daily lives, and their lessons are always right there to serve us. So we have an opportunity here. If you have a miracle and ordinary, or miracle or ordinary, to share with us, please raise your hand and we'll give you the microphone again. Might want to sort of sit with it. Oh, there you go. So she's ready. And just, yeah, and just say your name. And hey, Stephen, are we turning the Zoom? No, it's just, okay, yeah.
I'm Heather, and my mother and sister both came to visit me this week, and we did a photo shoot to create our first children's book together. And it was so much fun to be able to use an illustrator who knows how to do Photoshop to put my mother's face on Grandmother Tree in the book, and my sister and her daughter play these roles in the book. And it's all about a dandelion and a fairy and how to learn to grant wishes. And it's so much fun. It's just a miracle to me that that's even possible. So I just wanted to share my excitement about that.
Thank you, Heather. Is there anybody else? Oh, Stephen, he's always got something.
I'm always trouble.
I know, right?
Now, a couple of very minor, ordinary kind of miracles. Is one of them was we changed our internet service here and trying to improve it, and oh, the wiring's not right. Oh, you should try this. Oh no, you can't get that because that's $800 a month. Or anyways, we have a wireless extender out here, and I couldn't get that working up until about 2 days ago. And I'm going, God, we got to get it going. We got to get it going. And I just kept messing around with stuff. I don't know. I have no idea why it's working now. That's a miracle. I just wanted to start. And secondly, while I was here, I decided to change the water filters in the kitchen here. And I was turning it, and I couldn't get it loose. And all of a sudden it came loose. And I hit my hand on the one next to it and just laid the top of my hand open, like big flap of skin. And the miracle is, like, and that was like 4 or 5 days ago. What? It's just totally healed. It's like in that amount of time, you can hardly even see it anymore, except for a little bruise. And I'm just like, yeah, the body does know how to heal itself. So, thank you.
Thank
Anybody
you,
else?
Stephen.
Can you top that?
No, nobody's yeah, you can do that. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for those two wonderful sharings. It really brings home, some of the work that we're doing and spiritually, and the manifestations are always confirmations, aren't they? So now I have the honor of introducing Manuel Roberto, who's our speaker for today. In the newsletter, the title of his presentation is called Reflections of a New Thought Elder in Search of God Consciousness, New Thought Golden Years, 2000 to 2005. And what was stated in there was that he would provide a retrospective overview of New Thought Center during one of the most vibrant periods of New Thought Center of Hawaii. And the program would feature remembrance of our leaders and programs that started and developed during this period, including shamanic journeys, community building, New World Music Concert Series, and great speakers that came to our center during this period. So specifically about Manuel Roberto, he is a flautist, a poet, and teacher. Along with his wife Bernice, he is a founding member of the Hawaii Harp Ensemble. Born in Spain, Manuel has traveled extensively throughout the world studying the musical and spiritual traditions of diverse cultures. He has a deep knowledge of Hinduism, which he has practiced for several decades. Manuel is a longtime member of New Thought Center and a past president of the Board of Trustees. So Manuel is focuses on the flutes today, and Bernice is on harp and symphonic synthesizer. It's always kind of fun to know what kind of instruments are being played on. Now, Pasha wanted to make an addition because she's known you for so long. Manuel Roberto has been a member of New Thought Center Hawaii since 2001. He served on the Board of Trustees for 7 years, beginning in 2001, and held the offices of Vice President and President. He performed many functions: program coordinator, financial advisor, presenter, musician, facilitator, sound technician. So many hats, right? He and his wife Bernice have been an integral part of the New Thought Center Hawaii Christmas Eve service for many years. In the early years, they represented New Thought at the Interfaith Thanksgiving concerts. In 2007, they opened their home to host the Council of Elders, a gathering of nearly all the living founders and past presidents of New Thought Center Hawaii. So, mahalo. Okay.
All right, well, thank you all for coming and being here. Hope you can all hear me well. Just wanted to give So just wanted to give you an overview of New Thought and also some of the basic teachings, because you never know, we live in uncertain times. I really don't know what is going to happen tomorrow or 10 years from now. But since we see each other, this is what my mother said when I saw her last time in Spain in 2008. She said, well, if we don't see each other again, we just saw each other. That's what she said. And that was the last time I saw her. She was such a wonderful, wonderful spiritual soul, wonderful. So she gave me that teaching. So let me give you a couple of ideas that I hope you can take with you. Yesterday, Ramona called and said, well, remember, we can, you're going to speak for about half an hour. You wanted any more time? And said, well, whatever I have to say, I'll try to say it in half an hour. And then afterwards, if you have any other questions, we can discuss that later, because what am I going to do in 30 minutes? We cannot tell the story of the world, but we can tell a couple of things that you can take home. Actually, we can say everything in just a couple of minutes, but let me explain a couple of things that I hope you get from my experiences and at New Thought and my experiences through life. And I have lived through many moons already. So in those experiences, I can bring to you some information, and I hope you can use it for yourself. I play flutes from around the world. I was just playing the Shakuhachi from Japan. This is a 125 years old instrument. It's a very old, ancient instrument, very, very ancient. In fact, it's so ancient, sometimes it doesn't play, so I have to really think, how am I going to play it? So it was repaired several times, but it is, once I get to play it, it's kind of magical. I do have my other flute, which is much more new and recent. It does sound different, but this is a magical instrument because it was given to me by my teacher, my Shakuhachi teacher in Japan. So I'm kind of attached to it. And when I get to play it, like I played it the other day at Daifukuji Temple for the sacred meditation that we have on Hanamatsuri, the appearance day of the Buddha. And that was a very special, I do that, we have done that every year. Bernice and myself will play for Hanamatsuri on in the temple room for the sacred ceremony. And it's just very amazing. This is the flute that I will be playing in a few minutes for you because it's part of the presentation that I'm going to give you. And this is a Native American flute made by John Littlefoot, who was the medicine man of the Cherokee Nation. He passed away many years ago. And I was very fortunate to get one of these instruments in Baltimore from one of his closest associates, who happened to be the owner of the major New Age bookstore in Baltimore. And he happened to be one of his students. And when I saw the flute, I immediately said, wow, what an instrument, that's amazing. And yeah, he said, he gave me some information about it. So it has the names of John Littlefoot, the Native Americans, and I've played this instrument for 30 years, so I can testify this. This is not music, what we play on this instrument. It's more like a channel or a conduit to medicine, like we were talking about healing. So in order to be healed, you need to be relaxed and in a very good state of mind. Because in order to heal from anything, if you are calm and relaxed, you are going to be able to heal faster. If you are all excited or you have some stress in your system, then you'll heal slower. So the natives understand that it is important to, in order to heal yourself, to be in a calm state of mind. So that this instrument that's what it does. It's called music medicine. Actually, it's not even called music, it's called medicine. The sound vibration that comes out of this instrument is true medicine. So, oh, and turn that off.
Yeah.
All right. So, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, great. All right. So, you know, we have a very, very good friend of ours, and her name is Anne Frank. She's a very close friend of Bernice. In fact, she wants to go and play a Scrabble with her today. And she's 98 years old. And she's such a wonderful person. And we always have a great time with her. And she's very peaceful and relaxed. And all her gatherings are very peaceful and relaxed. And one day, you know, we were having such a good time. And said, Anne, how come in your house there is so much peace and there is no arguments or anything like that? She said, because here we never talk about religion or politics. So how do we get into a New Thought Center where we do talk about religion quite a bit? And in fact, every one of us comes from a different religious background. So this is pretty amazing that we are all here trying to develop a loving relationship instead of killing each other, which is what people do. If you are if you are a Christian in a Christian tradition, and you find that that person is Muslim or from a Muslim tradition in certain areas and not too far away from this country, in fact, in this country itself, they will create certain animosities. So, how did we get to this understanding? Because the people that come to New Thought, they are coming with an understanding, which I'm going to explain in a minute, and it will not take very long. I'm going to try to do everything pretty quickly in about 5-10 minutes, but I'll give you the essence of the New Thought teachings, which is how we all got together. This is how I got together with some of these amazing teachers that were here, and some of them already passed. They were here when I came here in 2000. It was just one of those things that happen in the universe where all these people happen to be there at the same time. And so I'll just mention a few names, but there are more, of course. And we had different programs that were really outstanding programs right here. We had the whole room would be full of people. Sometimes there would be 50 or 100 people. All the chairs were taken. It was amazing. It was very, very vibrant. One of the reasons was because the church president or the center's president was Morty Breyer. And Morty was really, really a very vibrant, amazing personality. He was so talented. He was a great engineer. He's the one who designed all the walkways for the airplanes in order for people to deplane and to get into an airport. He's the one who designed that back in the 70s or something. He was a great engineer. He's the one who designed all these systems on how people can get out of a plane or how they can go into the plane without having to go through the tarmac and get wet in the rain or whatever. He designed all that. He was brilliant, brilliant engineer, brilliant mind. He was so an amazing person. I mean, I think of him many times. And so he was the president of this board, and he was so charismatic. He attracted a lot of people. His roots or tradition were, he was from the Jewish background, but he had found the teachings of a great saint from India who actually introduced me to this saint, and I became one of the followers too. Is Anandamayi Ma from India. Very, very wonderful, very powerful teacher. Anyway, so he became interested in Ma, and then I got interested in Ma myself, Bernice as well. We have had some connections with this spirit. She passed away back in 1982. But anyway, Morty was really in connection. So he was also a member of the Kona Beth Shalom, the Jewish congregation in Kona. So he considered himself a Hindu and Jewish, Hindu. And so he says, if you are a Hindu Jewish, you're a Hindu. If you are from the Buddhist tradition and a Jewish person that becomes interested into a Buddhist tradition, then you are what was it? A Jibu, no? Was it Hindu? No, Jimbu or anyway, they have a term for Jubu. That's right, Jubu. You are a Jubu. So, but he said, once you're a Jewish, you're always Jewish. It's just that you may become a Hindu Jewish or a Buddhist Jewish, but you are always a Hindu. You are always a Jewish person. So it was interesting. Anyway, that was Morty. He was very talented. In fact, a lot of the flags, I believe, or some of the logos of New Thought, they were actually designed by Morty. And he was a drummer. He would play conga drums, and he had music gatherings in his house. And there we had Joel Gimple, who plays violin. You may have heard him playing from the symphony, Kamala Symphony. So Joel Gimple would come and play there. At the time, he was getting together with Jan Ray. Later, they got married, but that was the time when they were getting together, Jan Ray and Joel Gimple. And so there were so many, very great people. Pasha was coming to these gatherings as well, community building gatherings. So he had all these gatherings. Every week there was something going on. Besides the center gatherings on Sundays, there was always something else on Thursdays or Wednesdays. And there were always music gatherings. And then we start, when I came here, said, well, why don't we have music concerts? So then we started doing music concerts as well. Bernice, myself, and Maury Breyer, and then there were other people that we would invite, even dancers. We even had dancers at these events, at the Kona Outdoor Circle. Sponsored by New Thought. So we had a lot of music concerts and then music events at his house. So Morty Breyer was very, very instrumental in developing these relationships. And the second person that I need to mention was, well, there is a few other people, but the other person that I wanted to speak that was part of these golden years, well, was Jerry Rothstein. Jerry Rothstein was almost my height. He was very tall, just like me. You probably will see some of these photos that Pasha was sending around. You'll see he had a mustache and white hair. He was also Jewish. He was definitely Jewish. And his wife, Judy Rothstein, who was the librarian at the Kona Library. And Jerry was so loving, just a super loving person. And in fact, but he was an activist besides. He was a Jewish activist person. And so a lot of the like beach outings or beach walkways, whenever you see a sign that says beach walkway, how is that called? Beach beach access. That was Jerry Rothstein's doing. That's what he did. He was very well connected with politicians. In fact, he supported Josh Green when Josh Green was nobody, was not even a politician. He's the one who pushed Josh Green to become, I think, council member or something. He was really close with Josh Green. They would spend a lot of time together back then. And so he really went to all the council member meetings and everywhere, wherever there were politicians, he would be there making sure that the rules, he fought for years against the developers so they wouldn't develop Kona to the level that it has developed later. And especially he was very, very adamant that there was beach access for the public. Even if you had a gated community, there had to be a beach access because the beach is a community beach and everyone supposed to be there. So Jerry was wonderful. Judith, his wife, was also amazing people. They were just beautiful, loving people. We had a lot of also extra gatherings with them because they were, for a period, we got into this raw vegan food stuff, and so we had gatherings for raw vegans. It was like really far out stuff. But anyway, oh, he had the best mangoes in the island. He had this tree that would give mangoes on Aliki Drive and Royal Ponciana. And he would just either sell them or give them away. He had this mango that was like magical. It would produce thousands of mangoes every year. And he had so many mangoes. It was unbelievable. So anyway, Jerry was very special. Um, there were a few other people that were coming here. There were, as I said, many people. I'll just mention a few of the other teachers that came at the time. Hank Wesselman started coming. Also, Joshin, who was a Buddhist, Zen Buddhist teacher from the Zen Center and the Daifukuji Temple. They were basically into Zen, but he was pretty much in the same mood of uh, interfaith dialogue and understanding that what we are going to talk in just a minute here, in understanding that ultimately, scientifically, we can prove that we are all the same, regardless of your religious tradition. We are all the same, regardless of your culture, regardless of your race. It doesn't matter where you come from. You're all humans. So we are all humans, and we may worship in a different way, but nonetheless, we got to understand where that comes from. So we had some very great teachers like Joshin, who moved to Chicago. He became the headmaster of the Zen Center in Chicago, which is the main center in the whole United States. So that kind of personality was speaking here at least once or twice a quarter, something like that. We had other people here, like Drew Womack, who was a singer, and he would play music, and I think New Thought produced a concert for him. And then we had the shamans, Native American tradition teachers that started at that time, because then now we had a center where they could do their teachings, and that is Elizabeth Therio. Maybe Elizabeth Therio is the one who married you, I don't know, because Elizabeth was really into doing weddings, performing weddings for people, still does. And so Elizabeth Therio is a shaman, and she did drum circles for years. And the other person that did drum circles here was Dawn Barnett. That's when she started. Dawn Barnett was around that time, around 2000. And she started the solstice and the equinox drum circles. Wonderful teacher as well, Dawn Barnett. I've come many times to her drum circles. There were other people part of the program. Ed Bourne actually moved out of the island, but he was a New Thought person. He was very talented as well. He has written several books. He was a psychologist. Barbara Garcia, who and Paul Maikai, they were very close friends. Barbara Garcia was for many years the publisher of Keola magazine. And she was coming here at the time. That's when they start coming. And then, of course, Pa Maikai, who is a Hawaiian healer. So those are all some of the people that were part of this New Thought Center. So let me tell you a couple of things. Why we all get together coming from so many different traditions. There were Buddhists, Hindus, Jewish people, Christians, Catholics, recovering Catholics. Why in the world they all come to this place? Why? Because from we got to understand that you are reading from a magazine called The Science of Self-Realization. It's a science. A science of mind, isn't it? The science. In other words, this is not a hocus pocus. I don't just believe something. It has to be demonstrated. It has to be proven according to science and the scientific process. And what is the scientific process anyway? Well, if you ever, go back to 7th grade, that's where we teach the scientific process. It is based on certain premises. You have a problem or question, you have a premise, and then you have certain hypotheses, and then you prove those hypotheses by experimentation. So what I'm going to say is basically the science of mind, or the science of self-realization. And what is this about? You know, I spend a lot of time, especially at night, looking at the stars and the constellations. And you know, if you are in Hawaii, there is no way you can miss that. It's just very beautiful, the night sky here. And if you see these constellations, once you figure out who Orion is in the sky, it's like you can miss it anymore. You see Orion, it's like, wow, that's Orion right there. Wow. Or then you'll see Scorpio. Oh man, Scorpio is right. Like the other day, I saw Sagittarius, the full moon, and a Scorpio on the other side. I think it was maybe 4 in the morning. I try to meditate early in the morning before the noise comes in, like these guys here. So very, very early in the morning, I get up, and then I saw Sagittarius and a Scorpio on the other side. When you start recognizing the stars, Scorpio and Sagittarius, it's just so beautiful. In January, the moon was in the mouth of Leo. And around February, the moon was in the heart of Leo. Now, all of these things, like a few weeks ago, there was a teacher who was talking about astrology, but she didn't get to this point. The point is that it is very beautiful. It has a significance, and a connection with our beings, all these astrological and astronomical experiences and that are going on. So the universe is extraordinary. The experience of experiencing the universe, it really is amazing. It is like a clockwork. You know, I have a cell phone here, and I've said this before in a previous lecture. This was made by someone. An engineer came up with certain ideas. Then Steve Jobs said, okay, I want it this way and that way. And then the engineers put it together. And then he said, no, I want more of that, but I want less of that. And so together, they put their minds together and they created this thing. Do you think this was made by nobody? Nobody made this. No. Somebody put their thought to it. So can we put our clocks, or can we arrange our clocks according to the sunset and the sunrise? Yes. It's like a clock. The universe is actually a clock. And the way the stars move in the sky, we can even predict. Like the other day, I was seeing the planets in my house, Capricorn, about 1 month ago. They were in my house. I could see Venus. I could see Mars, Jupiter. They were all right there. It was super bright at 5:30 in the morning. The whole universe is a clock. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not as scientific to say that all of these facts are just made by nobody. You just think from that point of view. No, the universe has a controller. Someone put it together. It's a clock. You got to understand that point, that the universe has been made by someone and is controlling the movements. The movements are controlled. This is the latest, this is what is being taught about the creation of the earth at the universities, high school level, college, and university. This is the real fact. I'm telling you this because I have to teach that in the high school sometimes. I taught this to many classes in the science class. And I had to watch these movies over and over again to teach the kids. I've watched a movie by the Discovery Channel probably 20 times. This is the latest, the same movie. This is the latest discovery. Okay, so the latest is that planet Theia hit the Earth at a certain angle many millions of years ago. Actually, it says like 4.5 million years after the creation of the planet. And this planet, Theia, was a huge planet. And when it hit the Earth, it created uh, it created the moon. The moon came out of this explosion. Okay, and now the moon is gyrating around the Earth, and the Earth was tilted on its axis. And the tilting of the axis was done in such a way that it created summer, fall, winter, spring. Spring, winter, summer, fall. Yeah. So, how is it? Do you think that nobody created that? Nobody had in their mind, oh yeah, we're gonna create spring, winter, summer, fall. Do you think nobody did it? It just came. It just happened that way. Now the scientists, they don't claim that somebody did it or that there is a God. No, they're saying this is what happened. Okay, we'll take that. This is what happened. I'm not gonna complain about it, but that's what it is. What it is that this universe is a clock, that the Earth was tilted on its axis, and that tilting is so perfect that it created the seasons. And do you see summer ever coming into fall or spring coming into winter? No, it always comes at the right time, at the precise time, whenever it's required, whenever it's supposed to be. There is a plan for everything. So the other thing, we need to find out, well, if that is it, well, who is this controller? And why are we here? What are we doing here? How come I just woke up and I see these constellations in the sky? What is my relationship to these constellations? What is the emotional upbringing? What does it do to my soul or to my heart? Those are certain questions that we need to understand. But the main point that we all need to have in our minds is that, yes, there is a controller of the universe. Someone has made it, has made this universe, and it's inconceivable. Our brains are very small, very tiny. We are just tiny little specks of nothing in this planet, which is a very small planet called Earth, gyrating around the sun, which is a very small planet, a small star, around another much bigger star called Sirius. Have you ever seen Sirius in the sky at night? I mean, every time I see Sirius or Arcturus, both stars, they are so huge. I just look up and say, oh, that must be Sirius. Yeah, right there. You gotta be serious. They are beautiful, powerful stars. And still, they're just one little speck star out there in the universe. And there are so many of these stars. It's huge. The universe is huge. So how can we understand this universe when we have these little brains? But the thing is this, is that whoever created this universe, that
In some traditions, we'll call him God. In the Western tradition, we call him God, Jehovah, Yahweh, Wakatanka, Zaka Zulu, Krishna. Well, I don't care how you call this creator. That creator is very, very powerful. He's so powerful that he can create enormous planets like this one, enormous celestial bodies, or he can be very small. He can be super small, and in fact, he's hiding. He's hiding in your heart, in everyone's heart. He can be that small. He can be very small, and he can be very large. Don't put any limitations on God, please. Don't do that. Don't try to play with God or against God, because you know what? The dice is loaded. You know, back in the 60s or early 70s, I'm into film, and I watched this movie from Ingmar Bergman, who was a Swedish filmmaker, and he made a film called The Seventh Seal, where this traveler was on a journey and he's playing chess with death. Well, guess who's going to win? So the thing is this: that the dice is loaded, the game has already been won by somebody. The only thing you got to do is forget about fighting the controller, and trying to make friends. Just try to make friends with God. That's all. Hey, all right, listen. Just and that's how you can connect with everyone from any spiritual tradition, any teacher, anybody that comes from any tradition. Just think we are just little kids and we are going to play together. We are going to play marbles together. That's it. If you are a Christian or a Muslim or a Sufi, I don't care. Let's play marbles. And one of the reasons why I'm here at New Thought is because our grandfather of our spiritual tradition, the Krishna tradition, actually, his name is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, when he was a student in college in Calcutta, he met a unity. He was just a young kid. He was like a teenager. He met Charles Dahl. Charles Dahl was a Unitarian unity minister uh, that was preaching, or he had a mission in India. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur, at the time his name is Kedaranath, he was very talented. He ended up being a Supreme Court judge. And so he met Charles Dahl and he became acquainted with the teachings of the Unity Church. And the only thing he wanted to do is to add some of the Indian Hindu teachings to the Unity minister. And so if you ever get a book like this, like called the Bhagavad-Gita, you'll see quotes from Thoreau and Emerson. And these were poets, great philosophers from the Harvard Divinity School. And at the Harvard Divinity School, they were starting to understand all the teachings from all over the world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, our grandfather, sent them the Bhagavad Gita. He's the one who sent them the Bhagavad Gita that they quoted here, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he was actually a unity minister himself in India. So everything connects. So what is the actual teaching? The main fundamental teaching of that book, the Bhagavad Gita, or the teachings of Jesus, or the teachings of the Buddha, they are all the same. And let's start with the basics so we can all understand that there is a basics to everything. And the basics is that there are two energies in the world. There are two energies, not 5 or 10, just two. One is the material energy. The material energy is composed of material elements. Material elements can be gross or subtle. Gross, earth, water, fire, air, ether. Subtle, the mind, the intelligence, and the ego. Those are subtle elements, but they are material. Beyond that, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there is a more subtle energy called anti-material energy. The anti-material aprakriti. There is prakriti, material, and aprakriti, which is spiritual or anti-material. And actually, scientists are discovering that there are atoms that don't behave like the material atoms. There is something else. And there are a couple of scientists that got the Nobel Prize because of that. So that is the important fundamental that I want you to gather, that there is two energies. One is material and the other one is anti-material, and they have different principles and they relate to each other. The anti-material energy is the most powerful. Material energy is not powerful. Don't go out chasing after money, because that's material. Money can come to you anyway. Don't go out chasing after women. Don't worry about it. Women will come to you anyway. Or don't go chasing after men. Don't worry. Men will come to you after. It doesn't matter. It's just not the important thing in life. Material things are not important. They just come, appear, and disappear. And also material energy can be destroyed. That's why it's inferior. It's an inferior energy. The other energy, the anti-material energy, is the superior energy because it cannot be destroyed, cannot be cut by a weapon, it cannot be burned by fire. That's what it is. Now, and this, I'll finish here right now. And I want to leave you with this. The most important thing for every human being right now is to remember who we are, that we are not the material energy. We are not. This material energy is going to be gone real soon. You see my fingers here? I can play all those musical instruments. It will be gone real soon. Probably in about 15, 20 years, I'll be gone. 30 years from now, this body will not even exist. The body will not exist. That doesn't mean I will not exist. Of course, I'll exist. My anti-material energy will go on for sure. My spiritual, what we call a spiritual energy or anti-material energy, what in the Christian tradition they call the soul, the Atma, the spirit, that's going to go on. So the question is, what do you want to do with your life so that you remember this point? Because Krishna says in Bhagavad-Gita, whatever you think at the time of death, that nature you will attain without fail. What is that you are going to think at the time of death? What is the, and in order to think that at the time of death, you got to start practicing now, right now. Start practicing to remember God. You got to remember the one who created everything, who is the source of everything, and you need to develop a loving relationship instead of hateful relationship, loving relationship. How to love God. This is what is important in life. Love God and try not to do the lawn in the mornings when you're supposed to be in church. But anyway, see, if you do that in the morning instead of being in church, then you won't remember God at the right time. Come on. That's the way it is. All right. Well, I'll conclude right here since this guy is winning. And we will continue at lunchtime. All right. Thank you so much.
Much, Roberto. Thank you, Manuel Roberto. So I don't know if that is going to remain on for the music part, but okay. Well, here at New Thought, we don't make noise like that person out there doing the yard, but we do this to Manuel. This is our hand clapping. Thank you so much. That was great, like learning a little bit about the timeline and the history of the people. And Pasha actually brought out a photograph, which we put on the table there. So some of the people that you were talking about are in that photo. Yeah. So you can, if you don't know them, and yeah. Uh-huh.
Cancer in
Uh-huh.
2004. Jerry and Judy, this is very sad. They passed in a traffic accident.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm very unfortunate about this. I mean, I love them so much, all of them. But they passed. Also, what was the name of the accountant, Barry? Or there was an accountant who is on that photograph. Bernie, yes, Bernie. He was such a wonderful man. Oh, he's still here. Wow.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, he's such a wonderful person. Loving, very loving.
Oh, yeah,
Bernie.
yeah,
Yes. And of course, Paul Maikai and
yeah.
Elizabeth Serio. Yeah, wonderful. Um, yes, so they were all wonderful elders that were here during that time. And Pasha organized this meeting at our house in 2007, where they all came and we all shared. Ocean was there. What was her name? Ocean. Ocean was also there, but she passed. Electra? Yeah, she changed name a couple of times. Anyway, pass the ball.
Okay.
We'll talk more later. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So Manuel and Bernice are going to be with us for a lunch date.
Yeah, the place, if we could talk, I don't know if you guys could come because you live far away from here, but we wanted to go to the Thai place. Since the Thai place in Kejo is closed, we wanted to go to the Thai place in on Ali Drive. In fact, we have had meetings there. Remember the Thai on the second floor? Upstairs is right across. Hilo Harris still is downstairs. Hilo Harris was downstairs. Still, I think Hilo Harris is still there. Yeah, across from the parrots. Yeah, if you see the parrots across the street, right, exactly across
Okay.
from the parrots.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can continue this conversation with
Yes.
them at lunch because we offer this as part of New Thought to our speakers. So now we're at the point in our service where we're going to pass the koa bowl. This part has to do with financial support of New Thought Center Hawaii. And we bless all of you who are going to give, and donate today. And we bless the funds that we're going to be gathering in this koa bowl. So I've already done mine. So we're going to get this going here. Yeah, and if you could play the music. brightly. That's generating a lot of financial support for the center.
Before we all go, that guy stopped.
Oh, oh, that's right. Yes. Oh, excuse me. No, no, no. I was going to give this to you.
The shamans really don't talk too much about God or this or that. Basically, the job of a shaman is to tell or to say that this is the material energy and this is the anti-material or the spiritual energy. That's all. That's all the shamans do. So this is a very important piece because this is called the shaman's call. You may have heard, was originally uh, uh, well, brought to life. This is an old, very ancient Native American piece, but Carlos Nakai is the one who kind of adapted it for the native flute. You may have heard of Carlos. And this is my own interpretation of the shaman's call.
I don't know how you're feeling, but I'm sure feeling touched way deep in the heart chakra for all of this today. So thank you very much for the donations and for the people who are with us at service today via Zoom. You can go to the newsletter and it will show you where you can go and donate through the donation button at the website. So right now we're going to be talking about announcements. And first of all, Manuel, are there any announcements that you need to make or want to make?
A couple of them.
Okay.
One thing is that we have brought all kinds of photos, paintings, and prints and stuff from our house. We did sell our house, and we are moving to a place down south with a friend of ours who actually comes to New Thought. And so we have all these things that we have accumulated. We were hoping that we could donate. We have very beautiful books, really nice books. We could donate to the bookstore here or the library. You can keep them. Not too many, but a few books. It's just that we have a lot of stuff. We are trying to, reduce our household size kind of thing. And so we have all these flyers you can take. We also have some CDs that we have produced over the years, and you can get some CDs. I know nobody buys CDs anymore, but anyway, you can give a little donation if you want some. Also, our music is online. Kona Harp Ensemble. And we have a concert coming up on May 14th at Pyramid House.
with the members of the ensemble, Bernice, myself, Jean-Pierre Thomas, and Madhavi. Madhavi will also be there on harps. So 2 harps and 2 woodwind players, and of course synthesizers, and the angelic voice of Bernice and Madhavi. So that will be Pyramid House, May 14th.
All right. Thank you so much. So, Pasha, is it appropriate to put the Koa bowl over there if people want to make donations for any of things? Or?
It's donations for Manuel and Bernice.
Oh, separate?
For the CDs, yeah, would be separate. If you want
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
But the flyers you can take, or the books, whatever books,
Okay.
and posters, yeah, you're welcome to take any.
Okay, so just to clarify, so the donations for the CDs go to Manuel and Bernice.
That's right.
Yes, to help them continue on their journey. Yeah. Okay, so the other announcements. So Sunday services, the next 3 Sundays, on May the 1st is the celebration of life for Marie Claire, and there's a potluck afterwards. May 8th, Mother's Day, Pomaikai Kulon, music by Ruby Bailey. May 15, Michael Hemmett, Waking the Shaman, music by Lance Culnane. Weekly event through April 30th, which is next Saturday. Dance, Sweat, and Breathe with Adriana Atento, 4 to 6 p.m. in the Honua room. $5 to $10 sliding scale, and you can stay up to 2 hours. You can leave early if you want. Monthly events, last Sunday of the month. So today is the last Sunday of the month that we're counting. There's a produce giveaway after service, so the table is already out there, and people have put some items out on the table from their homes where they've harvested. So don't leave anything. That would be take what you want, take what you need. Normally, the first Sunday of the month, the Crystal Bowl meditation, which is now 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m., is rescheduled for Sunday, May 15th. There's a special event which I'm hosting. It's a booth at Haleki'i Market from 9 till 2, and the proceeds from the sale of the items at the booth are going to be donated to New Thought Center Hawaii, at least 2/3 of the proceeds. So we're seeking the loan of a 10 by 10 canopy because that's the rule of the market, to set that canopy up and then have your business underneath. And there are volunteers needed during and after. And there's information about that in the newsletter. And I'm going to put a list out. Pasha and I drew this up, and we kind of chopped up the time of the day into different segments if people feel like they just want to come and help for like an hour and a half, something like that. And then I do have a telephone number that is in the newsletter to contact me by text only, but that phone is acting a little wonky. It didn't like coming from the mainland to Kona, didn't know how to shift gears. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to put in a new number. So if you're listening or anybody's listening, it's 202, 206 226 6271. Okay, so service opportunities, helpers for Marie's celebration of life. See the sign up sheet on the round table here when you come in and when you leave. And also, so that's like a really big one that's coming up. So if you could like look at that list and put your name down to help do that, that would be really great. Then there are the regular Sunday service volunteers, greeters, setup, cleanup. And then this is something we've been working on for a while. We really need somebody to recreate and maintain our Facebook page for New Thought Center Hawaii. And it's a paid position. So you can contact us, and someone from the board will let you know what that is. Also, workshop facilitators like myself. And, since I'm the haven't been here the longest, and this is only my second time to facilitate. The first time was really nerve wracking, and so I feel much more comfortable now. And so it doesn't take long, to get acclimated to doing this. Let's see. Okay, workshop facilitators help with logistics of event, free admission. Free admission.
That's actually, workshop facilitators are different than you. That's what Jeff does for the dance group.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, I put a spiel in anyways. Put a plug in. Okay, and then, last year was our 50th anniversary, and we are continuing it into this year, 2022. And there are several activities that we are working on. There is an online auction that we are still planning on doing. And so if you have any interest in that, to make a donation of like some high quality item that's going to be easy to photograph and put on the online auction site, please talk to me or Pasha about it.
What is the auction? Is it online auction?
Yeah, it's going to be an online auction. So we are still learning how to do this, and we are getting help from the Buddhist temple, the Daifukuji. Is that, yeah? Because they had done an online auction, and I think they did their second one, and so they're very experienced. So we're going to go to them and talk to them, and get support on how to do that. And I've already donated a number of items. I had a business in Seattle for 12 years selling collectibles and jewelry, so I've donated a bunch of that. So just come talk to us about what needs to be, what can be accepted, donation wise. And if you want to volunteer for any of these positions, please talk to a board member or click reply to the New Thought Center Hawaii newsletter to send a message to Spirit of, is this right? Spirit of at New Thought Center of Hawaii.com. Okay. And to receive the weekly e-newsletter, please sign the guest book on the table there, or sign up via the website, www.newthoughtcenterofhawaii.com. So if we could have the last song, yes.
Let's gather.
Hawaii, aloha. Hey, how holy no ali no Hawaii. Hey, holy hey. Maukia aloha no Hawaii. E haoli na o pio o Hawaii.